Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Dev Insight show for the Master Soulbinder update. I'm Agro. I'll be your host. We got a lot of great stuff for you here today. If this is your first Dev Insight show, that's a little bit different than our usual update show notes. We're going to go a little bit more in depth on some of the balance changes that will happen in the future, though maybe not in depth on those, kind of a preview there. And then looking back at some of the more recent changes to gods and how that affected their performance. If you're into the stats and the numbers and what the actual game statistics are telling you, I think you're going to really like this show. But of course, we got a lot of great skins and some bug fixes to go over and that kind of stuff. But we'll start by looking at the card art for some of the skins that you just saw right there. And we'll start with Phoenix Fire Jing Wei in that Birds of Prey chest. Looking real cool. Not as if you have a mirror match against Jing Wei and you have the pool party skin, it actually does more damage against this skin, just so you know. Ragnarok Hera coming in this update as well. Looking real clean. Mostly Argus. Can we just say Hera's looking fine, sure, but my man's Argus is looking good with the fire. Raven Warlock Odin is in this update as well. Again, in that Birds of Prey chest. Cool look for him. Royal Fury on her as well. I love this skin and cannot wait to see it in game. I love it. I'm super pumped about it. Shell Shock Agni is one that you guys should be really excited about. That's coming in this update. And in fact, that's from the community artist, Wolf. He's here, and he's going to talk about it with us here on the show a little bit later on, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And the namesake of the update, Master Soulbinder Merlin. This, of course, part of that Camelot event that I know you've all been keeping up with, because otherwise you'd be a fool not to get this skin at the very end of it as the final reward for the Camelot event. We'll go more in depth with those a little bit later on as per usual, but we'll start with some bug fix stuff. And for that, I've got AJ, I've got Clumsy, and I've got Kabir joining us here on the Dev Insight show. Kabir, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone what you do at Titan Forge?
Hi, my name's Kabir Berry. I am the release manager for SMITE. And I basically make sure that we ship builds on time and of the highest quality. And part of that initiative, we are trying to pin down on the community, like what it is that, frustrates them the most, and trying to give them as much transparency into that as possible. So not just a SMITE thing, we've been doing this at High Res, where we've created a Trello board for everyone to follow along. And I'm very active on that and plan to be very active on that. And we all collaborate on it as far as like, okay, this is the most, where are we at on this? The community is very hot on this. What we need to be, just addressing this and taking care of, whatever those issues are. And of course, I try to update it in real time of like, hey, we're able to fix this via server, so let's get that out there and everyone can see that. And I've been tweeting it out like when we can do that.
Follow this guy.
Yeah, Titan.
Yeah, you got a lot of good news that a lot of people miss, but I try to retweet you every time.
Yeah. That's why sometimes I'll be like, hey guys, can you retweet?
You relies on the retweets.
You got to do some gem giveaways to gain some followers, man.
Oh,
so
no,
you get everything there.
Stay clear of that, man. That's a trap.
Yeah, that is a trap.
It's about community involvement and transparency. And that's something we are continually trying to keep improving on. It's something that we think is very important to just the health of our games and our development goals as a studio. So just as I'm coming on the show, me and Clumsy, to come talk about how gods were affected and be more transparent and honest and clear about what we think the balance team was successful at, Kabir's trying to do the same thing with the release squad. So he's, he oversees the QA team in a lot of ways, or works very closely with them, and our live ops team as far as getting our game up and running. And he wants to we want to as a team apply similar transparency goals to that too. So check out the Trello board. If you're having any issues that are really frustrating you, let us know. Especially if they're not on the board already, someone like Kabir or Isaiah will try to respond to you as quickly as possible and make sure you see that updated on the Trello board as we keep going. And we just want to make sure everyone knows that the things that you think are high priority, we also think are high priority. And although we can't fix things right away sometimes, that doesn't mean we're not working on it constantly.
Right. And if you're looking for those Trello boards or anything like that, just go to our social media channels. You'll find a link for those there.
There's a sticky on Reddit right now.
Perfect. Super easy. That's where guys should be there all the time anyways. Let's go over some of the recent fixed issues, and Kabir, if you want to jump in at any time to go over some of them. We're fixing several issues with parties involving Steam and standalone clients. I think I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah, that went live
recently.
That went live this morning. Now that is a that is a potential fix. So far,
Right.
so good. I haven't heard anything. IRFer hasn't tweeted back at me.
Definitely. We have a lot of pros and Olympians keeping an eye on this for us, but we did actually
Yeah.
make another change today. So a lot of people I know are experiencing issues yesterday, patch day, but we did do another change. So please keep discussing on social media. Talk to your fellow pros or Olympian players so they can help relay that back to us, or make your posts so we can get an idea of how impactful the change this morning was.
Perfect. We also fixed an issue where Steam players were missing several buttons on the party tab, something kind of close to that, but a little bit different. We also fixed an issue where you could not send a friend request to an offline player. I know some people were excited about that getting fixed. So now you can make friends even if they're offline, and fix an issue where commendations were sometimes not working, and gotta have your commendations.
A lot of these are still really tied to the kind of complicated back-end process that was the fusion of platforms. Although
Yes.
these might seem like, I mean, some of them are more front-facing code type of issues, but a lot of them are some of the more complicated because of this complicated fusion process. So some of these issues that might seem easy have been taking us a little more time to really track down and make sure they're fixed properly because of so many things that have been changing in our core environment. The world we work in has changed a lot recently too.
So you're telling me that crossplay isn't simply a button that I press and it works?
Right?
is-
There was
it
three
is once
different
you have it
wires,
all
and we
set
just
up.
unplugged them and plugged them into the
You're
same
right.
thing.
Wait, why doesn't everyone do that?
I
That's
don't
so
know,
easy.
because we're better at it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Here's some known issues that we're working on but aren't currently fixed. Friends list sometimes appearing empty is on our radar, and for console, names not showing up on the ranked leaderboard. So, Kabir, you and the
God
team,
leaderboards.
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
God leaderboards. So definitely things that are being worked on right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I want to say to the console community, we are aware and we are working on a solution for the item builder.
Right.
When you save, you cannot change out the item. You have to clear it. I know that's been on their that has been on their list for a while. We will have a solution.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Soon TM.
Next
Soon
update.
TM.
Yeah, here it
So
comes.
the other thing is too is like sometimes we're able to roll out fixes and it's very simple, right?
Right.
Because it's safe and we don't have to patch the client, all these other things. But if it's simple enough, if it's complicated enough, it might seem simple to the user, but that is not always the case because we need to see like it's game of whack-a-mole sometimes. You fix one thing, you break 10 other things. We have to be absolutely sure.
Right.
There's a huge range in what types of issues can be fixed in what types of ways. Some are stuff we can just edit on the back end, and then the next time you load a matchup, it'll be working. Some we have to take the whole game down and kick everybody out, and you have to download something, and anywhere in between, right? So Kabir works with his team to try to find out, can we ship this change in this easier to distribute way, or do we need to take a little more time, be a little bit safer, and wait for the next big update?
Makes sense to me. Titan Kabir on Twitter, correct? Is
Yep.
that the handle? Make sure you give him a follow. He's your go-to man for all your bug fixes, so you can see, again, what us at Titan Forge have identified as problems and where you can submit your also bug reports. It's sticky on the Reddit right now. Make sure you get that. Kabir, thanks so much for joining
Yep.
us, man. Appreciate you
problem.
coming on.
Thanks, guys.
But now it's time
Thanks,
for us
man.
to move into the balance progress reports. We did this a couple weeks ago where we looked at some of the changes that Gods had recently received and looked at how it affected their win rate, but also their popularity, because that's a big thing for us as the balance team, is to make sure that both of those are going pretty well. So let's we'll get into that in a moment, I suppose. But up first, let's take a look at some of the changes that we're planning on making a little bit into the future, and we'll
Right.
start with some duo lane changes that will be coming to Conquest.
Yes. So we heard a lot of discussion about the dual lane after Season 6 launched.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a lot of people proposing different types of solutions. We had a lot of... I think one of the key things that made this issue really hard to tackle is just how interconnected Conquest is and just how MOBA design is in general.
Yeah.
Things are super interconnected. You can't just always pinpoint one thing and fix it without affecting the rest of the game modes. So in the short term, we were looking at making sure we adjusted mid and jungle in a way to make them feel a little bit more even with the rest of the roles, because people really feel like they were running ahead. That's kind of how we interpreted that, as well as duo still feeling a little behind now, though. So we are looking at a way to bring up duo. And although it's very difficult, I believe we do have, after lots of discussion with the pros,
Yeah.
lots of testing, I believe we do have a interesting solution for duo lane that does pinpoint and target duo lane and only duo lane, and won't have too many widespread impacts. Of course, just duo lane being a little more ahead in their game will have a big impact on the meta.
Sure.
But we want to make duo lane feel better. We want to make supports and hunters feel a little better, and we are planning a more targeted change on that in the next update.
Yeah. We've definitely looked at a lot of the different suggestions internally and externally, and we've come up with a solution that I think is simple and effective. And
and so if the pros who are out there listening and Olympians who've helped discuss this with us, they probably have an idea of what we're talking about, and we'll get a little bit more specifics in those official channels to make sure we launch this right. But we're really excited about it. I think it's going to have a strong positive impact on the game mode.
Yeah,
The life vest coming to the duo lane soon is basically
What is that?
The life vest.
vest.
We're tossing them. They're out in the sea right now. We're tossing
That's how
them
they
up.
feel, and I feel for them. I don't want that to be the
That's
case.
right.
So we're trying to pull them back into the boat, right?
We can certainly try. We're also doing a conquest change to affect the entire map of Conquest. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this was also driven from the same discussion coming from mid and jungle feeling a little too ahead and duo feeling a little far behind. So we're trying to do those separately, but we're also looking at invades. So really, when you think about a jungle invade, the reward is insanely huge.
Yeah.
Because not only are you gaining the benefits of an entire jungle camp, gold experience, and the buff, you're also subtracting that from your opponent's team.
So it's basically worth double your own buff. Because
Almost.
you're keeping it from them and getting one.
You're
for
getting
yourself.
further ahead and pushing them further behind.
Right.
Which is really strong. So we're actually looking at implementing a map-wide rule, so just on the Conquest map, that would actually cause you to earn a little less gold and experience when you kill an enemy side jungle camp. So the camps would actually know, okay, I'm an order side red buff. I've been killed by a chaos player. And really that's just going to we're planning on applying this only in the early game, and we're trying to prevent these hyper snowball type of games. So still the invasion will still be a huge swing.
Sure.
It just won't be as big as it was before right now, where people really feel like you lose one or two invades and you're just ready to quit. And that
Yes.
could be by 5 minutes in the game, which we don't want games to feel over that early.
Right.
Yeah, like AJ was saying, a lot of this did stem from the changes we talked about from the dual lane, but it's not just the dual lane that this targets. It's the entire Conquest map, right? So it's those red buff invades, even those blue buff invades, as well as the purple invades that are really going to be less impactful. But like AJ was saying, is that an invade's an invade. If you get their buff, regardless of how much penalty we put on it, it's still going to be an incredibly important thing to do.
MOBAs are about incremental advantage. But when anything too early feels like you're jumping 3 to 5 increments over your opposing team, that's when they start to feel like the pacing is off or the snowball factor is too high.
Yeah, I think invades will still be good. People will still be
Very
invading
good.
it. If anyone eventually, when we go into the next update and the specifics come out, I can already hear why would I ever invade? And it's because it's mathematically right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
It
always
still is.
It's pretty much always the right decision.
Right now, it's just overwhelmingly so.
Basically, what it's going to be is you're giving me $100 million, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to give you $900 million, or 90 million. Oh my god,
That's a lot of
my God.
numbers.
It's a lot of millions.
I don't do math. Anyways, items are also getting some changes, though. And maybe not changes to the items that you know and love right now, but some differences to some of the tier 2 items for certain characters.
Right, so kind of what we learned through some testing is that for offensive characters specifically, so this is mostly like hunters, mages, and sometimes assassins, the bridge item design really didn't seem to be accomplishing its goals. Getting that slight ahead for a short period of time and then sacrificing late game, it made your curve feel a little weird. It contributed towards snowball. You really had to win or you would right away, which we don't really want you to do. It's kind of counterproductive to the previous statements I've just made today. We want incremental advantage.
Right.
So we're actually going to be redesigning Aussie and Ikeval
Yep.
to be tier 3 items so they can actually fit in a final build. We find that those items Aussie maybe was kind of close to still working in a final build right now.
Yeah.
But we find that a lot of people were just foregoing this option entirely because it didn't feel good to buy an item that you have to sell later
Right.
for some complicated minor mid-game power spike. But we do find out that like on tanks and other classes like the Gladiator Shield and Stone of Binding, that seems to work better for them because of the natures of the class. They can make that work a little better. But for Aussie and Ikeval, it felt really strange. So we're going to be redesigning those to be tier 3s, but trying to keep their core goals
Absolutely.
and their core gameplay of what those items did.
Want to keep the identity of those items still alive.
That's it.
But as AJ was saying, Ikeval, there were times where it was just overstated or underpriced, and then there were times where you just wouldn't see it at all. So I think
Right.
by bringing this healthier design philosophy into these items, they'll be in a healthier place. And even if we do, undershoot or overshoot a little bit, we have all these different knobs to tweak, whether it's their gold values or their stats or their
Much more
passives.
potential for future
And,
balance.
yeah, exactly. It'll just bring Smite to a healthier place with these items.
Super awesome there. Excited about that. And of course, we're going to have tons of God changes in the next update as well from the balance perspective, including some adjustments to Merlin coming up.
Yes, there will be some Merlin nerfs. We held off on him a little bit because he wasn't as statistically overwhelming as
Right.
you.
And we're gonna go
a lot
into
of people
that,
are
right?
think. No, not today. We're not going to
Okay,
go into
gotcha,
this.
gotcha.
This is the section for
This
that.
is the section for that.
Yeah.
We can talk about Merlin later in a future show like this after
Got
his
you.
changes occur. But actually, he launched in kind of the middle of the pack. I think he's got a high skill cap though, which makes him
Yeah.
feel better than he is, or makes him you read his potential a little higher than he actually performs. And gods like that should be balanced a little bit lower in the god pool. So
It's going to surprise a lot of people that Merlin isn't like, one of the top 10 gods in the game currently in terms of statistics. Because,
Right.
We've seen the external feedback. And honestly, we were pretty readily aware that a pretty strong burst mage with a lot of different abilities is going to be perceived, regardless of what they are, as extremely strong. Because their potential is overwhelming. And in the right hands, you're always going to feel the pain.
So we wanted to give him a little more time, but now we see after the season change and more things are settling down, we're gonna look into nerfing him a little bit.
Okay, great. As well as some changes to some of the top banned gods. You
Yeah.
talked recently that looking at the top banned gods is a really good indicator of what the community wants us to make changes to.
Right, it's really good for judging community frustration, especially. These might be gods that not necessarily performing the best or winning the most,
Sure.
but they're frustrating to play against in some cases. So we're trying to look at that. We're going to be having nerfs arriving next patch for Pele, Bacchus, Alquang, and Bakasura. And that's not a whole list. There are some more.
There's more coming, for sure.
Yes.
But there will also be buffs.
Yeah, of course. There's always going to be two sides of the coin, right? There's going to be both. But for those guys, for you players that love playing Bakasura every game, first of all, seek help. But secondly, get your games in now because they will be adjusted at least a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
In the forward, we're not gonna remove them or anything like that. But,
Correct.
That's what you can look forward to in the next update. So let's go look back at some of the things that we've done in the past in the balance segment. This is something that we did a little bit before, and I'll remind you that this is a look back at some of the previous changes and kind of reflecting on how successful these changes were from a dev perspective. So let's look at Arachne.
Let me give my quick overview just to recap.
Please do.
Because, just for the context, we're going to look at balance changes that have already occurred.
Correct.
We're going to evaluate them on the grounds of perception, which is so ban rate, frustration, popularity, comments. We're going to look at reality, so their win rate, etc. We're going to then decide on the balance team's goals and if they were successful or not. These balance changes are referring to high MMR, so Platinum Plus Conquest.
Okay.
Unless otherwise specified.
Gotcha.
Which there are actually. I'm going to show some arena stats in this game, in this segment.
Spicy.
As a little mix-up.
Okay.
But yeah, let's talk about. I want to say that at the beginning of every single one of these.
Sure.
Just in case everyone's like
We should
confused
record a
about where the
video.
data is coming from.
We should record a video
We'll
of
just
you
cut
saying
that
that.
video.
Yeah, we could
just,
do
like,
that. We could do that.
Toss to it, and then we come right back. Okay, so let's start with Arachne. The change that she received going into season 6 was the AoE web on alt landing. So she got
Right.
that. I mean, before you just
new feature.
landed, and now you get this whole new application of the ultimate was applying this giant AoE slow. What was the perception of this buff?
So players I think they were interested, but I think they were skeptical. A lot of people were
Fair.
like, that's really cool. Arachne needs a buff. But a lot of people still, I think, want the character to be something completely different than what it is, which generally is not our goal to change.
Right.
So that's something we can't really reconcile. But what we're trying to do is make the character feel better and still stay true to itself.
Okay, so how do you think we achieved that? Looking at the win percentages in general, in 5.23, she was the third winningest god in the game. That's right, I said number 3, as in she would have a bronze medal for win rate in 5.23. And then she got a buff to her kit because, again, perception is reality.
Overwhelming perception that this god is bad.
That's right. And she went up to a silver medal. So it is hard to jump spots at the top end because you have to win a lot of games.
Absolutely.
When your win rate's already high, you have to win even more games to move it up.
Right.
And she still managed to do that, moving all the way up to second now in 5.24.
Arachne is, statistically speaking, in win rate in high MMR Conquest, one of the winningest gods in the game.
Irrefutably.
So this hard to change impact stats of this number. This number is not the one that matters as much to us.
Sure.
We just wanted to make sure she didn't fly off the scale, be number 1 by a large
mile.
margin. She's still on the curve, which is great. What mattered was her popularity, and what we saw is actually she jumped up 27
Ranks,
slots.
yeah.
That's a lot.
In play count for that change between those two, just that patch alone, which is big.
Yeah.
And I think that would make this change relatively successful. The tricky thing is kind of reconciling the difference between these gods that the community kind of repeatedly votes for or discusses as the weakest gods in the game that are actually very strong. It's an interesting thing to look at overall MOBA design and how our player base reacts and perceives things differently than other games, or what's unique about Smite's gameplay that makes these types of things occur, or in individual gods. It's a very interesting discussion to have.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it all the time where, someone from the community gets hired at Titan Forge. MLC Stealth or Chaos is a great example.
Oh, there's
We're
so
like,
many.
Man, we can't
It's
wait
always
until they
fun.
get to see the boards. Like, they
Yeah.
get to see what the win rates are, and they're like, okay, where's Giannis?
Don't.
Scrolling all the way at the bottom, and then where's Arachne looking down?
She's got to be down there, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I think there's
what?
2 key lessons we've learned over the years, and I'm trying to make sure our team improves and changes our strategies as we go, because our number one goal is to make our players happy.
Yes.
So that's why perception matters more than reality. Arachne is statistically strong, but if nobody wants to play her and the community still thinks she's bad, feels bad, whatever, we want to make sure we look at ways to keep improving that.
Sure.
And that matters more than the actual win rate. We don't want to just be smarty pants saying, "Oh, she's already good, so you don't get anything."
No one likes the actually
Exactly.
guy.
And I think the way we did Arachne was also a really good way forwards for her, because as you can see, she was already one of the top most winning gods in the game, right?
Yeah.
And even though she may not be perceived that strong, that doesn't mean we're just going to go, yeah, let's turn all of her damage numbers or survivability numbers and just amp that, because that wouldn't be the healthy version of the
Right.
game.
So our goal was to make something that felt impactful, as
Absolutely.
opposed to just being super numerically impactful.
Gotcha. And it
So
seems
successful
to
change
have worked.
And then the main thing, and this is going to be a theme today, we're going to find more gods here that go along these lines, which is certain gods will feel balanced at different win rate levels. Not everybody needs to strive for that 50%. Gods with a really high skill cap and the really high potential generally feel balanced when they're a little lower, that 45 area, and that's totally okay. And the balance team is trying to be more aware of that in the future. And we found that when we use that strategy, the community agrees with our changes more as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Will say, by the way, that the win rate stat was for 5.24. I've got a note here that she is still number 2 in season 6. So
Still
it's not
number
Very
two.
good. She did not go down in season 6. If at all, maybe went up a little bit.
no surprise there. Arachne is good. Play some more of her. Okay, Bacchus was another character that got a ton of changes coming in, and maybe it wasn't a ton numerically, but a ton worth of changes. Really just that chug buff, the fact that he gets it
Yep.
at rank 0 now, without the protections, of course, but the fact that he can get drunk in base and then walk to lane with tons of mitigation and tons of power made him pretty potent, at least in my mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. This one's pretty cut and dry, honestly.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm sorry here, and I'm going to apologize to Isaiah as well. I see a typo on this. I fixed this number, so we're going to have the wrong number here. One wrong number.
Oh,
but
unfortunate.
still a simple concept here.
Yeah.
What do we think happened?
He got better.
Everybody thought he got better. Everybody agreed he got better. Everybody was happy about this change because it was a good quality of life change.
Right.
And his win rate and popularity did increase quite a bit. Cut and
dry.
if we look at the win percent, we went from number 66 all the way up to number 23. So that's 43 god jump.
Almost half the cast.
Yeah, that's a big
That's
jump.
humongous.
And this is the next one that's wrong. His popularity was much lower than I have listed here. I had 18. I think that's actually supposed to be something like 58. Like he was very low.
Gotcha.
And he jumped all the way up to one of the
So
top
a
gods.
much bigger
so instead of
change
a
in
plus, yeah,
popularity.
that's not supposed to be a plus 12. That's supposed to be like a plus 42.
That's quite a bit.
He went up big time. And
Right,
as
that
I
makes
mentioned
sense.
actually already in the balance preview, we're going to be looking at ways to nerf him.
Yeah.
We think this was a successful change still because we made him feel much better. We made him more applicable to Conquest when he was really only feeling good in the other modes. And we think other numbers on his kit are just too high. So we'll be just not looking to change any core functionality in the future, but we'll just be looking to take down, I think, a 1 damage number and 1 tankiness number. We're just going to turn those back down a little bit, keep the good feeling, but make him not so overwhelmingly strong.
Bacchus definitely feeling good, if you know what I mean, because he's drunk all the time now, even at rank 0. Hera was another character that got voted on. Again, if you guys missed out the other day, AJ tweeted out a poll that said, make sure you get your votes in so you can see these more in-depth numbers and how they got affected. Hera was one of those on the list, and we'll talk about her now. She got an ultimate cooldown nerf, and a lot of the perception around this character was that it wasn't maybe Hera that was doing too much. It was a little bit more so Argus that was the real problem with Hera.
Yeah, so I thought of this as a positively received change. We saw Hera was a high ban rate. We knew people expected or thought she was strong and were really expecting nerfs. So I think players generally felt really good about this one. And this was kind of similar vein as Bacchus. You see a lot of, we're just going to be aligned. I think community agreed with the nerf. They wanted a nerf. We intended a solid nerf. We're going to see that her stats did go down as well as her popularity.
Stats went down by quite a bit. In 5.24, she was the 61st winningest god in the game. That's right. Hera, the god that you ban all the time, myself included, was only number 61, while Arachne was number 2.
Right.
And then in 6.1, she fell all the way down to 89th.
Right. And I want to clarify with AJ and Edgar again that this is the Conquest High Elo stats.
Correct.
And where, the highest frustration gods that we're seeing, Hera included, is all the way on the bottom of these lists. And that's understandable. And these stats just kind of reflect. So the change was definitely a reasonable change here.
Generally, I feel like we tie it to difficulty.
Yes.
Gods who are a little more difficult to play, they will feel overpowered, yet still show stats that are much lower.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that again coming up soon. But really, Hera was not as super high win rate as people thought.
Right. Not even
because
close.
it's a little hard to manage her Argus usage. You have to make your big power plays really impactful when you do make them. You have to hit that long range, slow moving skill shot. You have to do some serious things with Hera. And you can argue that she's easy to play all you want, but the numbers really don't support that opinion.
Yes, they do not.
There's someone probably out there yelling Hera is easy, Hera is no brains, but I can tell you based on this that that's not the case. But
right.
So her win rate went down, and actually her popularity went down quite a bit as well.
Yeah, quite a bit.
That also could have just been
19th.
Merlin taking over. I don't know why that 3
changed.
ends up there. That should
that's
be
a way bigger.
50. Minus,
From 19
minus
a
50.
big 50.
From 19 to 69. My
the
spreadsheet must have
gods
been.
on the
I think my
roster.
spreadsheet was a little still work in progress when I sent it over to Isaiah. I'm sorry, man.
That's all right, AJ.
But yeah, the thing is, Hera has big impact, and big potential for big impact.
Yes,
but doesn't
absolutely.
necessarily do it over and over again. Which generally we find gods that are very easier and consistent have slightly higher base win rates.
Yeah, and I think the note that a brand new mid mage comes out at the same time as this is all happening, I think does couple with that massive drop in popularity, right?
Right.
I mean, all the people that were playing Hera because she was the hot new fad, immediately jumping over to Merlin because he's the hot new fad now.
Sure.
That combined with the nerf means that she moves down the popularity.
Her ban
charts by
rate's still
quite a bit.
super high even after this change.
Yes.
Throughout 6-1, it was still super high. So we'll see how that changes in the future as people learn how she's changed. But it seems like right now we did the right thing, did a nerf where it feels good without hurting the character too bad.
Agreed. King Arthur next up on our list.
Now
a
this
god
is an
that-
Another hot
interesting one.
Yeah.
topic.
Strap in, youngins, because we're going to be talking about this one quite a bit, I have a feeling. King Arthur, by the community feel, you would expect that only Arachne, that's the only god Arachne's losing to, is that King Arthur is number 1 in win rate. Not quite the case.
Quite the opposite, actually. And this is why I wanted to focus on this theme, and you can see I'm
Right.
showing this from a lot of gods. And that is that I've tried to make this clear in previous update shows, just how much it matters the skill shotiness of a character in Smite.
Yeah.
It really matters a lot.
It does.
The speed of projectiles, their size, the animation time, those are very impactful balance knobs to turn. Those are going to have huge changes compared to smaller damage numbers, right?
Absolutely.
And what we've learned is that gods that are specifically designed in very unique ways to play and feel very differently, they mirror that philosophy. So, speaking here and put it in the numbers, Arthur is a very unique god, right?
Yes,
Everyone
without a
agrees.
doubt.
He doesn't really play like anybody else. He's got a bit of a learning curve. He's different.
Yeah, very much so.
That caused him to debut as the weakest god in the game.
And
Statistically.
it is hard to beat out some of those hard gods that are in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 99 throughout
that
his
was-
entire launch
Yeah.
patch.
And
At the
that
time,
was
that was
before
not
Merlin.
God- he
so
was
that
God 99,
Truly
so-
worse.
He was actually the lowest win rate god during his launch patch. Now, the key thing here to talk about is that the balance team, we've learned from our past mistakes. We saw that, and instead of quickly overreacting with buffs, we would go, okay, why is this occurring? It's because the character is new. It's different. But let's check the feedback. Let's check the popularity. Super popular, super positive. And a lot of people even saying the character can be very good or is very good.
Yeah.
So we knew that the character was just taking people a lot longer to learn, taking people more time to learn. And the people who are already getting good with Arthur were feeling great about him.
Yeah.
And we know that the community was very happy to have a unique god that just plays differently. So our thought process was, we don't need to rush buffs into this character. Let's just let it settle and
Yeah,
see
let's
how
see how it
people
plays
learn.
out.
So he got a big bunch of bug fixes and a little bit of a buff, a kind of
Right.
that energy gain buff, and his win rate did go up about 5 spots to get him off the very bottom. But honestly, I would have expected him to climb a little more as people learned him and people and with that little buff. But he's still way down there, and people still feel that he's really, really good. And his popularity changed from first place to second place because Merlin.
Yeah, exactly.
Because New God comes out, right?
He's still super popular. But I just think it's really interesting, and I think I hope the community is out there really reflecting and thinking, how do we judge Smite gods as powerful? I think people have a really high tendency to judge them and envision the most powerful example, as opposed to what they do most of the time consistently.
Right.
Yes.
Because we think about this a lot, right? When you see a god that is doing very well, you usually are reminded when they're versing you and against you, and you're getting the impact of that character. So a lot of people, even for King Arthur, they're getting the ulti hit several times, or they're getting the Gladiator Shield procs against him. But when you play as a King Arthur, or when you have one on your team, that's just doing fine. That's not the impression that's lasting on your brain.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe it's just I don't see very many people that are willing to admit they're like, okay, I tried King Arthur and I really was bad with him, and I don't see very many people willing to admit that.
Me,
but it
my
happens.
first. To all other 9 players, well, I guess the 4 on my team I should really apologize to. In my first arena as King Arthur, I think I went like 2-14.
Yeah.
He's
I
not
was
easy to play.
not slowing down though.
Right.
That's the thing
Yeah. But we've seen people who have gotten good at him be crazy good with him too.
Oh yeah, he's nuts.
Super excited to
And
see
he
him
was
in the
designed
SPL.
for that. And he might be at the bottom of the curve, but he's not way off a cliff by himself. He's right along the curve, which means most players aren't going to really feel that difference that much. And as long as he's unique and impactful, then that's a fine place for him to be.
Yes, agreed. Okay, so King Arthur, not winning as many games as you probably think, but certainly one to keep an eye on moving forward on the win rate and in the popularity. Loki is the next one on our list here. This one's a bit of a bonus, AJ.
Yeah, so there was a vote to go over which gods I would talk about today. And Loki was actually number 6. And we said we'd do the top
Number
5.
6.
And I was like, Isaiah, please, let me do one more. And he said, sure.
Okay,
Although I'm still
one
probably
extra.
talking too much. He said, make it fast, but.
We got to make it fast then. Well, the change was basically Vanish got a bit of a change, and his basic attack nerf coming out of Vanish, I believe is what it was.
Right. So what we saw, his win rate dropped quite a bit from 30 to 78. So
Yeah,
it's a big drop.
Yeah.
But 30 was the highest he's ever been in Conquest.
That's pretty
So
high.
historically speaking, Loki has always been kind of in this bottom, 60% to 75% of the towards the bottom. And people felt good about that because he's very unique. He's very different. He does very weird things. He can be frustrating if you don't know how to counter him. That's kind of the right spot. And as a theme that we've gone through today, that can be a healthy spot for gods. So yeah, Loki got nerfed, but honestly, when I check the stats, he is right around a bunch of other gods that I don't think people would think are down there. Daji was right around there. Nemesis, some other assassins that people highly pick around this exact same spot as Loki in 6-1. And he's still well above Thoth, Yanis, Arthur, Morrigan, some of these gods we know are very hard to play.
Right.
He's still well above them. So although he went down, the god is not dead. But we think he's in a place where he should be more suitable, because with such a weird kit, he should require that extra investment and skill and practice to impact the game.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Loki was definitely a high frustration god at the time, and when he got more and more popular, people would see that more often in their game. So with these nerfs, he got put down to a more accurate place where we're not going to have those high extreme frustration cases nearly as much,
So we
which is
also
very healthy.
have the arena numbers, but you can see his popularity in Conquest went down about 35, so a little bit. Not
still
a ton.
still over a large portion of the cast at 58.
Right.
Yeah,
Still
it's
in
a good place for him to
Conquest.
be.
But in Arena, his win percentage was pretty high up there at first. 27th overall, dropped all the way down to 83rd. So a big change in win rate there. In
But
Arena.
here's the most interesting one. This final one is Loki Arena play count only
AKA
went down
popularity.
4. So he was the second most popular god in the game in Arena.
The second.
and now he's still top 6.
That is crazy. That is crazy. to me.
He's so different, And
is.
Arena is actually, it's really good to have an assassin on your team who can pick off those people trying to get back safely to Arena and stuff like that. A good Loki will do really well in Arena teams too.
They will. They
So-
will. He'd be top pick, top ban in Arena
Key
ranks.
thing is, we think that this ban was
Rest in
definitely a
peace.
success. This nerf was definitely a success. Was the right thing to do. Put him in that spot that shows that he is viable. But we want to ask Loki players to go that extra mile to really prove that what he can do is powerful.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, Pele. Pele got some nerfs as well, coming in to 6.1. It was revolved around the passive, the strength of the power, and the
Right.
lifesteal that you were getting at the time.
Yep.
The perception, though, I think, at least from my mind, is that a lot of players didn't feel like this was enough for the guys.
Yes. And this was another one where it's kind of aligned, but not in the most successful way for my
Right.
team. Community didn't really think it was enough. When we go check her numbers, she went from top 14 to top 25, so not really that big of a change. I mean, something, but not enough.
Sure.
And her popularity barely changed at all. Her ban rate is still super high.
Yep.
And what that means is we're going to be looking to nerfing her again.
Yeah. So one of those get buffs or nerfs
Not
rather
the
than
most successful balance change from the balance.
Right. This one was aimed towards her passive. I remember at the time there were a lot of people from the pro Discord thing specifically that were addressing several different places, and the passive was one place that we picked out specifically for Pele to look at nerfing. But absolutely looking at these changes, and for her current ban rate, she's a early game to mid game assassin that is pretty pub stompy. So we will definitely be looking at some further nerfs for her.
Yep. All right. Zeus next up on the list. That's what I like to see.
This is another
Look at this
interesting-
card art, man. It's so
that's
cool.
really nice.
That's
yeah.
Zeus.
I feel like
dude.
I haven't seen that widescreen one like ever.
AJ, I need to get that on
It's
a
your
play
wallpaper,
mat.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I
should.
need you to.
Oh, that'd be
I need some
sick.
help there. Okay.
All right, I'll
That's
see if
all
we
I'm
can get
saying. So he got some changes. He got a nerf to Aegis Assault, his 2, and then Detonate and his ult got damage shifts. So they
Right.
lost some base damage. Well, Detonate's a little bit more complicated, but lost base damage overall, but got a little bit more late game oriented. And a lot of people were really confused on whether this was a buff or a nerf.
Right. So that's what I would say. It was not the best perception. We confused a lot of people. I think we probably could have gone with just the Aegis Assault nerf, and people would have been okay with it. Conquest players might have been, you're nerfing Zeus, like why he's not that great. But we know that he's doing super well in other game modes.
Absolutely.
And this
And
looks
he was
like
a top pick at Worlds too in Conquest. So I
He
mean,
was
the
actually.
people
Yeah.
that are paying attention to the pro level mid laners, I
So-
think would understand a Zeus nerf.
What we saw here is a very slight change
coming from aggro.
in Conquest.
That's coming from me.
He's in the middle of the pack in Conquest winning and popularity. He went down a little bit. And I do have the arena numbers, although I guess I forgot to send those to Isaiah too. Man, I'm having a rough week.
That's
but
all right.
He was actually like number 5 or something like that in arena, and he fell down to number 11.
Okay.
So he did go down a little bit more in those non-conquest game modes. And the real thing is, we didn't want to. This is why we did a shift. Is we didn't really want to nerf Zeus too hard.
Right.
Because we know he's kind of in that weird mid spot where a lot of people don't necessarily think he's all that good, especially in Conquest and high level play.
Sure.
But we wanted to find more counterplay to him. So I think the Aegis Assault nerf, the giving you a longer time window to aggress against Zeus, that was the right thing to do. Whether or not it needed to be accompanied with that shift or not is the question.
Shift was always definitely very confusing. I mean, as we saw with the win percentage changing on Conquest, he's around the middle of the pack on Conquest, but the fact that he's so high on Arena showed the frustration really came from the Arena players that are playing against Zeus.
And hopefully that Aegis Assault change is making them feel a little bit better and having more windows to attack Zeus and counter him.
Sure. I also think that in the times that we've seen Zeus be really, really popular in high level Conquest, it's revolved around tanky metas where he can
Right.
build defensive or hybrid items and
Right.
utilize that high base damage. And so it's kind of insulating against those break cases where if we come across that time again, Zeus does need to invest more in damage than just relying on base.
That was
numbers.
another goal of the change, was to prevent that from the future. And I can't just comment on whether or not that's been successful yet or
Sure.
not.
We'll
because
Find
haven't
out
really
soon,
seen that.
hopefully.
Because we're on Dev Insight, I feel like I should get a chance to ask a question here and get some insight.
Okay.
Thoughts on Zeus getting his stun back?
On his Detonate,
Probably not
Yeah.
going to happen.
I mean,
Like, what would be perception of that?
go ahead and throw out a Reddit
Perception.
poll and see if it's more positive
I
than
would say
negative.
this is a difficult god to buff because of his
so cool.
vastly different performance in Conquest and non-Conquest.
Right, that's what I said.
So we want to try to find ways to get him a little closer, and that's what these changes were striving to do. We didn't quite get there, but we moved in the right direction, although a little bit.
It's definitely a small success.
Sure.
So I think Zeus being able to stun a bunch of people in an arena or joust would be bad news.
Except for the Zeus player, who's the most important player in the game. Always. That's all I have to say. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Again, if you have feedback on what you want to see more of or a little bit differently on Dev Insight, make sure you go to the Reddits, hit us up on Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. We're planning on keeping these going, right?
I think so, and I will post these numbers. Like, it can be hard to digest all these while you're reading
Right.
them, but we're gonna try to post them again in a nice clear format so you can just look them right over.
Perfect.
And I'll make
Nice
sure I
and
get the
easy.
updated ones without none of these bugs in them.
No -3s there or anything like that. Appreciate you guys watching this section of the Dev Insight show. We got more coming. We got some esports news and all that kind of stuff. But first, we had a quick video where some people around the office had some fun with the newest Smite god. Introducing Smite's newest god, Jormungandr.
Is that right?
I have no idea.
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr.
Smite's newest god, Jormungandr.
Jormungandr?
Jormungandr. Jormungandr. Jormungand.
Jormungandr.
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 Introducing Smite's newest god, Jormungandr.
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr. Oh, it's Jormungand, isn't it? Jormungandr.
That's not right.
I had no idea.
Jormungandr?
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr.
Introducing Smite's newest god, Jormungandr. 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 Jormungandr.
The worst part about my part of that video is that I was literally sitting in this exact chair, wearing a very similar hoodie, I realize now. And it was right before the update show went live for that. And Andy comes in with this like pronunciation thing, like, yo, just say this. God, it just said his name. And I was like, am I getting tested here if I say this wrong? Am I going to get pulled from this show? I thought Isaiah was going to be there with like the hook to pull me off if I said it wrong. I don't know if I said it right still to this moment. Speaking of Isaiah, he's here with me alongside Avrin, talk about some community news. What's been going on? We got a Twitch Prime thing. We got some other stuff. Pro League's coming up soon, Avrin, as well as other stuff. Yep. We got stuff to talk about.
Exactly.
Who's going first here?
Dude, I'm going first.
Okay.
We got a ton
Isaiah,
of stuff
lead us
going
off.
on. First of all, I want to let you guys in on the know. You guys haven't claimed your free King Arthur bundle with the Deathbringer King Arthur skin via Twitch Prime. I don't know what you guys are doing.
You're slacking.
Get Twitch Prime, link up those accounts, claim your free King Arthur bundle. Not only do you get the skin, you get an announcer pack, you get an avatar, and you get a sub to your favorite Smite streamer, like for free.
That just for free every 30 days. Make sure you put that to some good use while you're looking good on the battlefield with Deathbringer King Arthur,
Most
of course.
definitely.
Isaiah, what if I just got Deathbringer King Arthur by claiming it through Twitch Prime, and I really wanted to get I really wanted to grind my worshippers on Arthur now?
I think this weekend would probably be the best time for you to log in, because
Okay.
we've got 3 times worshippers going on this weekend.
How perfect is
All you
that?
got to do is log in and play, get triple worshippers on every game played. You know, swag out that loading frame, get all
Damn,
the stars.
We've been killing the game, man.
It's
These 3
ridiculous.
gods right next to each other. I'm
Right?
like, yo,
It's
that's
nuts.
sick. I can get down with that for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We
Right,
also
and then,
have
last
another
up-
bundle coming up, right?
So actually, the Avalon bundle dropped yesterday with that Dragon Prince Najah and Infinite Seer Alpwatch skin that we looked at a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So be sure to log in game and check that out. And then next week, you'll be able to pick up the Spring Holiday chest for that Spellbound Chang'e and Wolfsbane Scotty skin.
I'm so excited for Chang'e.
Yeah, that
I need
Chang'e
that skin.
That Chang'e skin is sweet, but so is Wolfsbane Scotty. 2 skins that coming out soon. That's Auburn. I was actually thinking about cosplaying this Chang'e skin.
I was thinking
Thoughts?
about cosplaying this Chang'e skin.
Oh, so it's
We
gonna
should
be
go
like
together.
It's gonna be like that, huh?
Yeah.
You
it
can be
is.
Chang'e, Aggro can be the bunny, and it's
Okay.
done.
All right.
I love
That wouldn't be
it.
too
I love
bad.
it.
Okay, I can mess with that. Auburn, what's been going on with Smite Esports?
Lots of stuff. So we just closed out our SCL qualifiers, which means we now have 4 teams per region, per platform, who have just qualified to be in our console league this year. And we are ready to kick off both the SCL and the SML next week.
Finally,
Yes, it's finally time.
God,
we
competitive
have-
Smite is so close again.
Yeah, we have a couple more weeks until SPL kicks off. That won't be till the end of March. But starting on Monday at 11 a.m., you can go to Mixer and get your fill of Smite Esports.
Mixer.com/Smite game will be your first look at Season 6 competitive Smite. That's great news for me.
Yes, and we also have some really, really big news on the console front, too. We just announced it on the Smite Pro Twitter in the middle of this show. Crossplay is coming.
Okay.
Crossplay is coming to Smite Esports.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Console kids have been talking a lot of trash about how
That's
they
what
can
they
keep
do.
up with
Yeah.
the PC guys, and we're going to see if that's actually true. So you'll need to go to the esports website or to the Smite Pro Twitter to get a little bit more info on exactly what's going on. But the basic of it is, for our 2 major LAN events this year, the Mid-Season Invitational and then the Smite World Championship, we will have opportunities for our console teams to face off against SML and SPL teams.
That's going to be really awesome. I'm actually very excited about that. There's so much discussion and debate over the years about, could Wolves actually lane up against Variety and all this kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
we might get a chance to check it out in action.
We're going to see if their bite's as big as their bark.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Isaiah and Avrin, as always, you can contact them on Twitter and bother them about things that they should get bothered about. Well, they shouldn't really deserve to get bothered about anything, but you guys get bothered about
That's
stuff
what we're
all
here
the time.
for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just hit us up.
Professional bothered people. You know what I mean?
I should put that on my business card.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, not a bad thing. We got skin segment coming up right after this quick video talking about the Legend of Camelot, I believe. So we'll see you in a sec. It's time for the skin segment, everybody, and it's going to be a good one. I've got a pretty good feeling about it. We've got an all-star cast here to talk about these skins coming up. We've got Tina, as always. You'll be hearing her talk about personalities of skins, the background story, and probably saying something that will make me move on very quickly. We've got Chris from the effects team, and we've got Wolfdog Art, a special guest here on the update show. Wolfdog, tell us a little bit about yourself and your claim to fame in the Smite community.
Yeah, so big thanks first to everybody in the community that supported me. It's been really awesome. I couldn't be here without you guys. It's been really awesome. I started posting my stuff on Reddit, and it kind of took off from there pretty fast. And from then on, I actually had 2 skins produced, so not just one. It's awesome.
That's really, really cool, man. Really glad you're able to come on with us and talk about your newest skin concept that is getting produced. But that's going to be a little bit later on. We're going to start instead with Phoenix Fire Jingwei. This is also based on a fan concept, I believe, but a little bit different than some of the other Jingwei skins we've had. Jingwei, it's, she's either at a pool party or sometimes a demon hunter. Now she's a little bit more magical, it feels like, in this particular
for sure.
iteration.
Especially the sound effects. Sound effects sound super magical too.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. A quick little preview from Chris. Good teaser.
Sorry.
No, that's what we're here for. That's literally what this whole segment is about, is teasing the skins. Tina, I said earlier that this skin would not do well against pool party Jingwei. Do you think that it's magical enough to resist the effects of pool party water?
Yes, because once the pool party water hits her, it will just sizzle off of her.
Oh, okay.
Because she is a phoenix.
And they get reborn.
And they're fire.
They are. Magical fire, though, not just like regular human fire that can be squelched by.
Well, she does both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of both going on. The first thing I noticed is that this little cape that she has, the tail cape thing.
Tail cape, yeah.
That's different. We don't have that on other Jingwei skin, do we?
Nuh-uh.
True, no. I think this is a new rig to support that as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very, very cool. Pam,
and she's much more
the rating
adult,
artist on this
too.
one.
So I wrote her as more of an adult. Even though she has the same voice actress as Jingwei, she's older Jingwei.
Oh,
in
okay.
this. Yeah.
Very cool. The Phoenix on the explosive bolt is definitely a cool touch that she has. And yeah, I'm hearing some more magical sound effects on that persistent gust.
Great sound effects.
Yeah, very, very cool. I've been saying it for a while now, but the sound effects department, the sound department in general, has really elevated their game to a whole other level.
They've been kicking it to a new level. Yeah,
it's been really, really fun to watch. Here's Airstrike, of course, the ultimate. That is cool.
Ooh.
It is very magical, but also actual fiery. You were right to sell it that way, Tina. It's got get you a girl who can do both.
Yeah, which she can.
She can. Magical fire or actual fire.
And she's like 20 here.
Okay.
Not 14.
Okay.
Good clarification.
Yeah.
Good to know, I suppose. She can go to like some different bars, but like not all of them, because something like a lot of them get to be 21. 20 isn't good enough.
Right.
Okay, so maybe she's 21 here.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't like where this is going.
Happy birthday. Yeah, me neither. Chris, that's on me. That was a rookie mistake by me to bring up nightlife around Tina at all. I kind of got away with that one. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Phoenix Fire Jingwei.
Watch yourself, or you'll catch fire in no time. So you think you can outwit me? No one's achieved that in 1,000 years. Attack! Defend! Woohoo! Woohoo! What do you get if you cross a parrot and a shark? A bird that will talk your ears off.
Okay.
There's that.
Nice.
Phoenix Fire Jingwei there in the Birds of Prey chest coming up pretty soon. In that chest as well, I believe, Ragnarok Hera is coming up as well. I immediately looked at Argus during the little preview that we had at the very beginning of the update. Is he cool like this? Like, he's got a lot of inner workings going on.
Well, he's not cool. He's hot.
Well, I'm just like a little worried about him because he looks like he's angry a lot,
He is.
Oh, well then okay. If that's the way he's going to be. That dress looks awesome though. It turns into magma
Yeah.
at
It
the
looks
bottom.
like she's magmaing the ground.
Yeah.
Those particle effects are crazy.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome. What Are these lava effects harder for your team, Chris, to get the animations going to look correctly?
Yeah, they're generally a little more expensive as well, just in the material itself. And then like getting the fluid motion on what's essentially still like a flat picture is kind of difficult. But I mean, I think the payoff is really nice when you get it working.
Yeah, absolutely. That looks great. So do our auto attacks. Throwing a fireball at your opponent is never a bad start to a fight. And the dress still flowing very, very well. Looks really cool. Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Super. That is dope.
Oh, do that one. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, that sound again. Like crashing.
Satisfying, right?
Oh, it's so satisfying. I'm loving it already. That is in a cool magma shield, lava shield going on there for Divine Shroud, of course. All right, let's check out Argus. Let's see what our boy's doing. Yeah, he's doing some destroying.
Yo, he's got one head though.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's similar but different in the way that he looks now. Those are those particle effects on the ground for the three are pretty sweet.
How does his face even look like?
He looks kind.
Yeah, he looks like a nice.
How his
He
helmet.
looks like so sweet.
It resembles the Hades styles.
Yeah,
it does.
The Ragnarok Hades.
Yeah.
So
They're set.
yeah,
Good tie-in. Yeah.
You know,
they hang out.
Yeah, they hang out.
They shop at the same stores.
Thrift store, yeah.
Yeah, they get their armor at the same spots, both forged by the same person.
To me!
That is looking real good there for Ragnarok Hera. Let's take a listen here to the voice pack for her.
Your fate is decided right now. Ragnarok is coming, but your end has already arrived. Attack! Defend! Whoa! Whoa!
Oh.
I hear people telling Ragnarok jokes like there's no tomorrow.
Nice. I liked that one. Definitely a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. Definitely a little bit angrier than your traditional Hera. And
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
she's
Pretty mad.
I forgot who wrote this one. But yeah, they did a great job.
I like it.
So
Ragnarok Hera.
Kind of like if Hera went crazy.
Yeah, I think so. Like
Joined
she's
to
a
the dark
little-
side.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know, hopped on over.
Lost her the noggin.
Lost her marbles? Is that what you're going for?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right, cool.
there you have it.
Exactly what I was going for.
Raven
Thank you,
Warlock
Chris.
Odin is next up on our list here. This one, the Raven is a big deal in Odin's lore. His ravens
Yes.
are very big, but this is kind of diving more into the fantasy aspect, it seems,
Yes.
of that end.
I named the ravens here because actually Odin's ravens have names.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they do.
Can you pronounce it?
Mugen and Hugin. Mugen?
There's no... Wait, are those your names for the ravens?
No.
Or that's their actual...
Sven,
lore?
right? Mugen? Haugen?
Not Hugin.
We've got Sven on board, concept artist. You'll be hearing from him in just a little bit, trying to help us out. but-
He'll pronounce them correctly.
yeah,
when
maybe
he
we'll
gets
ask
on.
him in the later segment.
His spear looks really nice. It's
Yeah,
a
it does.
basic
That
model.
it's got like, is that a special, some sort of special tip there for the spear? This is just like a cool, taking the Raven aspect of Odin and just really dialing that up to a million is kind of the idea here, it seems, and definitely works out well. Do you know if his Raven shield does more damage with this skin because he's like a Raven
Right,
guy?
because he's double raven.
I've been really liking these pay-to-win jokes recently. None of them are true, just so we're all on the same page. But I think they're funny, so I'm gonna keep doing them until I'm told not
I
to.
think you're the only one who thinks it's funny.
That's funny.
Tina,
is that
you should be
Isaiah
one to
right off
talk,
his camera? Stop doing it. You got it, man. Oh, it's AJ. Hey, AJ, thanks for that, dude. Guess I'm not doing those anymore.
I'm absolutely loving all these blue effects. They are. Crazy.
Yeah.
That is definitely different than a lot of the Odin skins out there. They're kind of more bright or orangey sometimes. This one very dark in that sense.
Whoa.
But,
I like
look
all
at the
the
ravens.
ravens floating around. That's
Yeah.
really neat.
dude, that is super cool.
In the sky.
And then like the plasma ethereal stuff on the ground is really awesome
and
too.
the feathers as well. It's like
Yeah.
a mix of ethereal ravens and feathers, and
did
of
this one
course that on the bottom of the cage.
We don't. I don't know. The name that we have on the list isn't correct. Sorry.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, sorry.
I think
Team.
the hat is the real star here.
The wizard hat?
Flopping around.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
wizard hat.
That's great.
Well, you can't have like a Raven mask and not have a cool hat to go along with it. you
Right,
know?
right.
That's like a big part of it, you know. And he does have that kind of plague. What is it? The Plague
Plague
Lord
Doctor?
Hades that
Oh, yeah.
is kind of similar to
Yes.
this. Has that same sort of witch doctor-esque skin. Not witch doctor, but plague doctor sort of mask to him there.
Doesn't have the dope hat though. You know, that's
No,
the real
the Hades
loss.
one?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I just realized when he's about to call his ravens, he's not gonna say it like Swen says it. He's gonna say it like how
Hugin?
Tina says it. So I'm sorry in advance.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm
Okay.
not worried about it right now. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Raven Warlock Odin.
All men must die. Another naive mind, I see. You have never seen magic like this, and you never will again. Attack! Defend! Yes! I had a raven once. He was crazy. Just a raven lunatic.
Oh, all right.
I realize now he's a warlock, so he has to have the hat.
Yes, he's a.
You're not a warlock unless you have the hat.
True.
That's true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
It's
That's
in the rule
actually
book.
part of warlock law. In fact, Royal Fury on her is next up. And this is
This
one
is my
that
favorite one.
I'm so excited about. I love it.
I love it
Little,
too.
little reference in the background there. Is that Sobek as well? I see in the card art.
Oh yeah, Sobek.
That Sobek skin in particular.
And is that Ymir right there?
Oh, is that? Yeah, I think that is Titan
Oh, it looks
Forge
like
Ymir.
Yeah, it is Titan Forge Ymir.
Falling victim to Royal
Being
Fury
slapped
on her.
by the big Cato.
Okay.
Good.
Good stop.
Good.
That was a
Yeah,
good place to
that-
stop. All right.
That's a great place to stop. Good point. This is way more armor than On Her normally has. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Beefy,
normally,
dude.
yeah, just kind
I
of
mean,
chilling
look at
his
his
own thing. But
face.
my man has some shoulder pads.
Yeah,
now.
he does. He does. And look at his gauntlets, dude.
So cool. I love it.
So-
And the
yeah.
beads and the beard
Yeah.
too.
For sure. I haven't played Anher in a very long time.
You will
and
now.
then when we were playtesting this skin, I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Oh.
Like I just had to play it, even though I haven't played Anher in so long, because this skin made me want to play him.
So cool.
It
I'm
is
absolutely
so cool.
loving it.
And the you'll see.
Yeah, we indeed will.
Oh, that's nice.
That's cool. I like that. It feels like one of those abilities. It's kind of hard, right? It just looks like a regular auto attack for the most part.
Oh,
It
his
just
tail is so
has
nice
a little bit
too.
more oomph behind it.
I love that.
That
pillar.
is so
Isn't
sweet.
it cool?
Crazy.
So it's like stone underneath.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like sandy stone.
But it's stand too.
What? So is this part of his he's part of a city, Tina? I'm looking
Yes,
for
he is
some-
a city.
Okay, he's
Wait, no, he's not a city.
he's not a city, but you know
he's
what I mean.
like this
it's part of a.
knight that is guarding the city.
Okay, all right, I can mess with that. I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta have if you got cobblestones like that, it's gotta be there.
Yeah.
That there's Desert's Fury.
Skin. Oh man, the effects look so nice.
That is so. that is awesome.
Effects artist Kyle did this one, and he killed it. It's really
Beast.
awesome.
That is beastly. I also noticed that a lot of these textures and materials look a little bit more realistic, almost like they weren't made in a perfect armor lab. You know what I mean? They're handmade. It looks a little bit more like this one. That like
Yeah,
Andre
yeah.
himself made them.
Yeah, there was a lot of like hand painted stuff.
Yeah, that is sweet. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Royal Fury on her.
Why aren't you a royal pain in the arse?
Ooh.
I see you have not prepared yourself for a sparring with me. On guard. Attack. Defend.
What?
I totally forgot about that.
Is that the you rock?
Yeah.
It's just a
no,
clap?
it's woohoo.
that
it's
one's
woohoo.
get abused.
You
That
make
is
your
sweet.
king proud.
Does he actually clap? Okay.
Yeah, the woohoo
You
is
make
clapping.
your king proud.
That is awesome.
Kings sometimes found that uprisings were a peasant surprise.
Get it?
Yeah,
He sounds kind of
Okay,
rude.
good.
yeah, I got there.
He sounds kind of what?
Rude.
He's just
He
uppity,
sounds
you know?
fabulous.
He just knows the high life, you know.
Yeah.
He's a respected knight.
Okay.
We're just
That's fair.
a little beneath him overall. The other thing I liked is that his hairstyle is incredibly different. The mane and everything is really different than base on her, where he normally has the big headdress and everything like that. In this one, it's really just the dreads and that kind of stuff just look awesome.
Yeah, he went from Simba to fucking Aslan, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Man, that skin got 2 different words.
I'm gonna scoot a little
Jar
further away in
Rule.
case Pink Slips have an AOE to them.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the star of the show in some ways, to Shell Shock Agni. This one, of course, concepted by Wolfdog over here. Talk to me about what made you come up with this concept in the first place.
So one of the biggest things for me about Smite is kind of the historical sort of aspect to it, and World War I being in history, and me loving history, I thought that would be a great thing to go for. And Agni was sort of the perfect god, because rather than choosing one side or the other, you get both of them together. And then, of course, when you factor in all his abilities are perfect for that sort of World War I style explosions and fires and the gas attacks. And I know I'm really going to love spamming all those ults off when you finally get to see what those look like. So
Really, just an amazing concept, man. I absolutely love it, and super excited to see it come to life here in game. Now, I will make a note that the voice pack not currently working for Shell Shock Agni will, of course, have its own unique voice pack and all that good stuff. That is a great start. That is so cool.
it's great. And I think it's really cool that the animation team, if you look really closely at his shoulder, he has this sort of electric sort of thing going on with his left arm.
What?
And that's where all that sort of lightning is coming from in his fire attacks, and that's what ignites
Oh,
the
that's
gas.
cool.
when
It
he
looks
puts
really
down.
nice.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a quick little detail that I definitely did not gather at first,
Yeah.
but you're right. That is sweet.
I didn't notice until he said that.
There's
little-
his dash, of course. Still some underlying lightning effects there that, of course, will detonate.
I mean, the detonation looks really good too.
It does.
Shout out to my boy Andrew.
Yeah, all these
Sick.
explosion stuffs are amazing, and sort of he leaves this scar on the battlefield when he moves, and I think that is like perfectly captured in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, Rain Fire, the ultimate.
Oh, look at
Does
that
he-
bomb, dude.
Does he throw a flare?
He
Is that
throws
what
a
I'm
No, it's a
flare.
bomb.
He but he marks it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's this little area that he tosses up and says, "Yeah, this
then-
guy right here."
Why is his halo like atomic bombs?
Well, I mean, you're still dropping bombs, of course. It's
You
just
know
that
they're
he
atomic.
marks that area.
I don't know if they're atomic, but
That
Oh
is
my
just
gosh.
bombs.
that is clean, man.
This is a really good looking skin. All
Yeah.
right.
Great. And of course, Wolfdog also the mastermind behind Stitched Horror Jean Kui.
Yes.
First of all, I will say you clearly have a mage bias, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Personally, keep up the good work.
Yep.
We can talk about some Zeus stuff later on.
Okay, all right.
maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
That would be pretty solid. But what is it like seeing these concepts that you've made make it into Smite?
It's absolutely fantastic. I love doing concept art. It's something that I have always wanted to do, and just getting the chance, having the community really like my stuff, and enough to produce 2 things. It's been really crazy. It's been great. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, keep it up. I'm sure there's a million other concepts. Well, a million's kind of high, but
I'm
sure you got some more.
I'm on like probably my 100th concept at this
Wow.
point.
So you got a ways to go.
Yeah,
is
so
what
I
he's
got
saying.
I got a
Smite?
while to
That's
go
right.
before it. Yeah, yep.
wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
That
I
that
do a
is
lot of
really
concepts.
incredible.
Yeah.
That is amazing, man. Appreciate the support, of course. We also have Master Soulbinder Merlin. Can't move on without talking about this one. This is, of course, the final reward in the Legend of Camelot event. This is an unlimited skin that is apparently really dope, and I haven't seen anything about it.
It's a set with Arthur.
Oh, okay. So this is like
You know
the
the Arthur
Deathbringer
one that is on the Twitch
Twitch Prime Deathbringer Arthur.
Yeah.
So this is. They're on the same team still?
No, they're not on the same team, but they're like the same. They're both evil and they have the same type of art.
I mean, they're like in the lore behind the skin. They're on the same team. They're like working to the same evil causes.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's what I was looking for. My man's is looking pretty evil. I will say.
For sure.
You don't have this many skulls.
Wow.
Without,
You can see inside him.
Oh, dude, you see the spine and everything. That is really cool. A little bit different. Like we had that infinite Sun Wukong skin recently, where you could see some of the inner workings and that kind of stuff. This one similar in that you can see some inner workings, but very different still, and looks very cool. Still has a lot of armor on him. Merlin has got to be one of those characters, Chris, that they're like, hey, we got this sick skin concept for, and you're like, sweet, can't wait to spend forever working on that because he's got so many stances.
Yeah, that's the exact thought process that went through my mind, and that's why, luckily, a lovely effects artist, Kyle, stepped up to take this one for me, which is great.
Yeah,
shout out to Kyle.
Yeah.
What a saint.
Look
Oh, man.
That is looking very good, of course. The arcane stance. There's- Watch out, man. Chill out. We're just talking about it. I can't wait to see him change stance because I just want to see. Oh yes, that's what I was hoping for. Glow the different
pentagram?
colors.
Yeah, boy.
Pentagram.
That change stance in general just looks amazing. But these are the right colors for a ghostly evil
Whoa.
skeleton, like purple, red, and
Yeah.
or like orange and blue. Definitely all fit the theme very well.
Dude, he's so cool.
Yeah, I love Merlin, man.
What is holy bone
Yeah, look at the
dragons?
dragons.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Those are not your
Holy.
run-of-the-mill dragons. They're skeleton dragons.
They're
Love it.
edgelord dragons, dude.
Yeah, you can't be messing with those dudes.
I love watching when he does that stance. He has the runes sort of coming out of him.
Yeah. Very, very cool. There's the much angrier Blizzard.
Lots of blood.
Yeah, that's there's
Lots
a
of
lot
blood.
going on there. Wait, you're right. That is all blood.
Wait,
Yeah,
do that
no.
again?
Yeah.
And look at the slow effect on the characters. It's bloody. It's kind of
Bloody.
Slaughterhouse Chalk-esque
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Pretty
about,
spooky,
like,
man.
Blood rain.
Yeah. Listen. Oh yeah, it's even on the change stance there.
Yeah.
That's Slayer, right? That Raining Blood. That's the song.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I wasn't an
someone.
edgelord.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, AJ, for not.
I'm not an edgelord.
Make sure. Okay, that's really awesome, guys. Thanks for hanging me out to dry. Make sure you listen along to that while you're playing some Master Soulbinder Merlin. Let's listen to the voice pack before I get insulted anymore.
Okay.
Fight me, and you'll find out for yourself what it is to die.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
I've tried death, and can't say I recommend it. You're just one more grave to me. Attack! Defend!
Wow. Wow. Relax, dude.
Yo, Merlin, you good? I just imagine like you meet default Merlin, and he's like cool and your friends or whatever, and then you come back to him and he's like this and does that laugh at you, and you're like, yo,
Sure.
you good? You cool, man? That is, of course, the final reward for the Legend of Camelot event. Tons of great skins coming in the next few updates. So, Wolf Dog, I want to thank you again for the amazing,
Thank you very much.
concept.
Thank you for the
And,
opportunity, and thanks to the community for supporting me.
yeah, of course. Excited to see what other concepts you have, man.
All
I'm
right,
sure,
yep.
I'm sure we've got a lot awesome stuff coming. Speaking of awesome concepts, we've got some gods that are coming up pretty soon. You might have heard of them, Horus, Set, just like kind of big deals in Egyptian mythology. We're going to go over some of the stuff that you can expect from them right on the other side of this Smite trailer.
Rated T for teen.
Is it death you seek? Very well. I take your soul.
Don't get too close now. You can't handle this fire. Wild Inferno!
Let us transform you into something more useful. A cow, perhaps?
Argus, to my side!
You cannot escape death. You're next. Excalibur! Strike!
Last chance to turn around. Come now, child. Dance with me. Ta-da!
Anyone else want to go play some Smite right now? I don't know, just like a weird feeling that hit me when watching that trailer. As I mentioned, we've got Horus and Set coming out soon, and to talk a little bit about them and give you a quick preview of what they might look like, we've got AJ and Clumsy back with us, but of course, Sven, the senior concept artist, joining us here as well. Sven, why don't you tell the show a little bit about what you've done in the past and what you do at Titan Forge?
I'm a senior concept artist. I work on SMITE, and in the past, I've worked on quite a few other games, but really enjoying my time here. But yeah, working with some great, talented people.
Awesome. Before we move on to Horus and Set, can you give us the correct pronunciation of Odin's ravens that Tina was asking for?
Haugen and Malden.
Just like she said. Yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely nailed
Just
that
like
one.
it.
Two guys.
Yeah, I think that's what Tina said.
Yeah, something close enough to that. So Horus and Set have been gods that people have been wanting for a really, really long time.
Oh yeah. We're really excited to finally be realizing these gods. We wanted to do something new at the beginning of the year. That's where Arthur and Merlin came in, and to balance them out, we wanted to do something that we know that community has been asking for. So that's where Jorm and Horus and Set came in. So we've seen Jorm. The community response has been fantastic. We can't wait to move on to Horus and Set. And as we have been doing, been showing off our god concepts a little earlier. We want to make sure our artists get feedback and get involved in this whole community discussion that the design team and community team are involved in. We want to get the other teams in. So we want to show off these gods early and see what people think as we move through the process. So
sure.
We're ready to show their full completed concepts today that Sven designed.
Let's start with Horus in alphabetical order. Horus is it must be difficult, Sven, for characters like Horus and like Set that have so many depictions throughout history. What are some of those challenges for you as a concept artist?
Well, just as you said, there's a lot of different depictions, but there's also this very standard look that everyone knows. And you want to honor that and you want to keep that, but you kind of want to do something different too and do something a little bit more unique and fantastical. So trying to find that nice balance where, okay, of course that's Horus, but that's Smite's Horus. Finding that balance is always a little bit difficult, but it's a great challenge.
Especially with gods that are so similar and already in the game. I mean, Ra and Horus historically look very, very similar in a lot of their depictions. So is that something that you have to be very cognizant of?
Absolutely.
Got to keep it away from Ra?
Every time you're working on a new skin or a new god, you're trying not to design them in a way that looks like another one. You want to keep them unique and give them their own value. So that's always a goal that we're trying to hit. So yeah, that's what we did with this one as well.
Awesome.
That sure didn't look like Ra.
No, it did not.
Not even anybody else saw Ra there.
Can we put it back up on the screen, that Horus preview there? We can talk about the class, right, AJ? I'm allowed to say this?
I think we were going to go over that today. We're going to give a little bit more information. Yeah.
So Horus will be a warrior. That's confirmed.
Cool.
What are some of the key elements that we wanted to hit, as a Smite warrior and as Horus that we can see here?
So as he's kind of a sky god, a royal god. He's got some positive alignments generally. So what we're actually planning to do with him is align him in a way that's more of a guardian or support-oriented warrior.
Okay.
So you're going to see some ways for him to help his team, peel from his team, and as well as with his wings and sky theming. So you'll be seeing some mobility and use of those wings.
Awesome. Very excited about Horus, as you should be as well. And we also can't talk about Horus without bringing up Set at the same time. So we have a concept for you there. Set will be an assassin coming to Smite.
That is correct.
Fairly soon. And just like Horus is very similar to Ra, Set has a lot of similarities to Anubis's look in traditional lore. But what were some of the key things you wanted to do, Sven, to keep those two separated in the player's
From
eyes?
Anubis?
Yes.
Well, this one is obviously he's got a donkey head instead of Anubis having the jackal. And Set can have a couple different heads in historical depiction, but we went with the donkey just because that is a little bit more different. And just trying to design him with a certain look and flair about his costume that sets him apart as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
His armor feels very different. The face mask.
Yeah, that was sick.
We really like that. We kind of showed Horus's face because that falcon head is really clear for Horus, but then Set is a little bit more of the dark side, the chaos, the rogue, and as an assassin and more aggressive character, he's going to be the masked version that Sven came up with. We really liked because that felt like it fit him really well. So these gods, they have a very tight connection between each other in their lore.
Yeah, of course.
And then we kind of represented that a little bit in their depiction. So although they're both very unique, they have a couple visual themes that you see on both of them. Specifically, their style of weapon. They're both using this spear glaive polearm type of weapon, which we think is really cool. That when they're going to be facing off against each other, you'll get this really cool parallel between them. But then they're so different in their core silhouette, and they're based off of these two completely different animals. And the color schemes, you get this great kind of subtle referencing to each other, but then clear opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I see the same. There's a little bit of that turquoise blue in both of them, but it's much more muted in Set, and instead of the bright gold, it's kind of the more dim browns.
That's exactly right. Yeah, whereas Set's armor is kind of a gold, but it's kind of like this desaturated red gold.
Yeah,
kind of give it a darker, gloomier feel. Like everything was designed in that sense, where even though they might have some similar styles and look Egyptian, one looks a lot more bright, and the other one looks a lot more dark.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I'm super excited about Horus and Set. Unfortunately, we can't give you too many details about them yet.
Some class, general play style, and the core themes. And then we'll be posting these concepts online, I'm sure, so you can take an extra look at them, zoom in a little closer, let us know what you think.
Awesome.
We're
Very
super excited about it.
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah.
They're going to be super fun, man. I absolutely can't wait. Thanks so much for watching the Dev Insight Show. Of course, with feedback, take it to the social medias, Twitter, Reddit, all that kind of good stuff. We'll be checking all that in the future going forward, and we'll see you pretty soon. Make sure you download Smite and get it played and get your King Arthur Twitch Prime pack. It's only here for a limited time, and Jormungandr's out. So what are you doing watching us? You should be going playing him right now. Thanks for watching, and you can peach it.